Hey gang, here I am back with another video focusing on summer fragrances again. Today I'm focusing on designer fragrances for men that are perfect to wear in the summer heat when it's warm outside. Find out about my top 10 men's designer fragrances that are fresh and easy to wear in the summertime, coming right up. Thanks so much for tuning in. Yes, today we're talking about designer fragrances for men. I don't speak a lot about designer fragrances, but I did want to focus on a few, well, a top 10 here, that I think are perfect to wear in the heat. They do come alive and they do have great longevity when it's hot outside as well. Most of these are very, very fresh. They have fresh notes. And of course, fresh notes meaning like you know, a lot of citruses, and there's aromatics added as well to give it some contrast and some depth. And of course, a lot of these fragrances dry down to woods and things like that. They're perfect fragrances. I really love them. Yes, I do enjoy designer fragrances. Mostly I talk about niche fragrances, but there are designer fragrances that I really enjoy, and I think these are perfect for the summer fragrance wearer. So I'll let you know what they are. Before I do though, if this is your first time tuning into this channel and you haven't subscribed, please do click the subscribe button below and also click the bell so you'll be notified for future videos and giveaways. Before I start the list, is there a designer men's fragrance that you love to wear in the summertime? It's fresh, you know, perfect in the heat. Let me know, put a comment down, but we'll go ahead and get started with the House of TOUS. It's 1920, the origin in EDT concentration. This to me is a completely different fragrance than the original fragrance, whereas the original totally reminded me of Cartier's Declaration, that kind of spicy, woody, musky, bitter, orangey kind of experience. Here in the Eau de Toilette version, the smells are completely different. Here we go into a kind of a pulpy, grapefruity direction, and of course aromatics and spices come in as well. And it makes for a great wearing experience in the summer heat. This particular fragrance focuses on grapefruit, and it's also kind of a pulpy, juicy experience. Along with the grapefruit, you've got watery notes, so there's definitely kind of a watery, refreshing experience here, throwing some aromatics of Clary sage, geranium, and the cardamom that's in the original 1920, the origin, is moved here along with vetiver. So vetiver and grapefruit, I always say, are great combinations in fragrances. It's definitely here, and I think it's a great fragrance to wear. Also, this is fairly inexpensive. You can probably find a bottle for around 35–40 bucks, if not less, so it won't break your bank and you'll smell fresh and clean and citrusy. So TOUS, 1920, the origin in EDT at number 10. This next fragrance is DUNHILL's Icon. A great fragrance to me. Definitely a freshie, but with some depth. You know, it's got some woody and earthy and also floral freshness here. It's focusing on Neroli and Bergamot, black pepper, lavender, vetiver, cardamom, juniper, Petitgrain. You know, for me, this particular fragrance reminds me of a combination of LALIQUE's white with Eau de New York from Bond No. 9. If you've ever smelled those two fragrances, to me it's like the combination of both. So it reminds me of both of those fragrances, like the combined fragrances together, but it's also a really, really great smelling fragrance. It's kind of a fresh fragrance, but kind of very earthy, woody, and floral as well. As I was saying, there's spices in here, the black pepper, which is what really reminds me of LALIQUE's white, and the Neroli in here reminds me of that Bond No. 9 Eau de New York. I think the Eau de New York is discontinued now. White you can still get, but it's a great smelling fragrance. I really love this one. DUNHILL Icon at number 9. If you don't know it, do check it out. This next fragrance is fairly new to me. I brought it back from Italy. I think it's now selling here. Bright Leather from FERRAGAMO. It's a leather fragrance in the end, but a very fresh, invigorating kind of a leather fragrance. And for me, even though they don't mention violet leaves here, I get a major violet leaf dosage in here. So it has a kind of a crisp crunch, apple, cucumbers, kind of accord or something, in addition to all the citruses and the leather in here. They call it white leather. I'm not sure if there's such a thing as white leather, but they're talking probably like light leather. But with bergamot, mandarin orange, basil, rosemary, cedar, grapefruit, patchouli, and musk. Yeah, it does have some depth and earthiness when it's drying down, but it's all very, very fresh with citruses. The citruses are probably some of the best things you can wear when it's hot outside. I always say there's no rules, wear what you want when you want. but most people follow rules, and they kind of probably choke as well when the fragrances are really, really intense. So these are the kind of fragrances that are perfect to wear in the heat. And even though this has leather in the dry down, I feel like it's still definitely a fragrance you can, you know, pull off in the summertime and you know, smell fresh and smell great kind of a thing. So Ferragamo, bright leather. I have not been speaking about, you know, Ferragamo fragrances for a long time. I'm quite happy with that particular fragrance. It smells really, really great, and definitely check it out if you haven't already. The next fragrance I'm talking about is from the house of Chanel. It's Allure Homme Sport Eau Extrême. This is one of my favorite fragrances for the summertime, but this particular fragrance does have some depth to it and a little sweetness, so be careful. But it's kind of the kind of sweetness that's contrasted with kind of like a marine experience, so there's definitely like an aquatic marine thing happening here, but it's a nice contrast. I like that about this particular fragrance. And even though for me Edition Blanche was my favorite, I've grown to really enjoy this particular flanker from the Allure Homme series a lot more now than Edition Blanche. Edition Blanche for me can become a little one-dimensional, but here we've got some unique things happening. But it's tonka beans, mandarin orange, there's mint, there's musk, there's black pepper, smells fantastic and perfect for summer heat. So Chanel Allure Homme Sport Eau Extrême, I think perfect fragrance for summertime. Check it out if you don't know it already. Alright, moving on to the house of Tom Ford. It's Grey Vetiver with I'm just gonna hold it right, this one right here. And here we go with the grapefruit and vetiver once again. Vetiver, grapefruit, they're a match made in heaven, kind of like rose and oud together. Grapefruit and vetiver kind of really do complement one another. The earthiness of the vetiver, the woods, the kind of damp experience with this kind of zing and spiciness of the citrusy touch from the grapefruit. It's a match made in heaven. With the vetiver and grapefruit in here, in addition to that, you've got woodsy notes, oak moss, nutmeg, orange blossom, sage. So there's definitely a floral citrusy experience here along with the grapefruit, and there's a little spice added together with this as well, and along with some aromatics. It's a great scent. I recommend it for a great smelling vetiver. If you've only worn vetiver from Guerlain and you want to try something different, this is definitely one of the other ones that you should try along with something like LALIQUE Encre Noire, which I find to be quite dark for a vetiver. But this one, it has the brightness because of the neroli and not the neroli, but the orange blossom and the grapefruit notes. So Grey Vetiver from the house of Tom Ford at number 6. This next fragrance from the house of LALIQUE, it's L'Insoumis. What a great fragrance this is. This is a unique take on a barbershop-y fragrance, but it's all very, very fresh and aromatic, and I like that about this particular fragrance. There's also a little bit of a booziness in here. There's a kind of a rummy experience. So you've got this kind of shaving foam or shaving mousse or whatever, shaving cream kind of an experience with this one, but it's all very fresh and aromatic with the greenness of the herbs that are thrown in here. So you've got clary, sage, basil, woods, rum, lavender, vetiver, but I believe that there's definitely some citruses in here as well. I do get a lot of citrusy touches here, and it smells really, really fantastic. And even though it's kind of like a fougere experience, it's not that heavy, so you can kind of like really liberally spray this stuff and really smell fresh and barbershop-y. So L'Insoumis from the house of LALIQUE. Really great scent, kind of underrated. A lot of people talk about it, but I think it's definitely worth checking out, and you can get that for deals as well. Lots of great deals on that. Moving on to the house of Ralph Lauren, another brand I don't speak too much about. This is Polo Cologne Intense that came out last year. I think they did a good fragrance. They did a great version of Polo. It smells nothing like the original Polo green, nothing. This is very, very modern and also very, very grapefruity once again. We've got lots of grapefruit in these fragrances and a pulpy kind of a take on grapefruit. So you kind of have this kind of like succulent pulpiness of the grapefruit in here that's kind of nice and creamy. So this particular fragrance features clary sage, grapefruit, ambroxan, patchouli, mint, violet leaves. And I think it's the combination of the violet leaves with the grapefruit to kind of add this pulpiness. There's definitely kind of a pulpy, you know, just like inside of the cucumber. If you've ever noticed that, this kind of like a succulent kind of wet experience, you do have that here completely. And it's kind of very fresh and invigorating and also cooling. So it works great, and I think it's a perfect summer fragrance to wear. And whereas the original was a leather sheeper fragrance, more intense beast mode kind of a thing when it first launched, this is definitely definitely today's standards. And I think the perfumers have done a great job. I think it's two for perfumers from IFF. And I think it's definitely perfect in the heat. So it's Ralph Lauren Polo Cologne Intense at number 4. Next fragrance at number 3, it's Bentley for Men Silver Lake. This one right here for a very, very fresh and metallic experience with aromatics, and also there's definitely citrusy touches in here and musks as well. This is lemon, mint, amberwood, violet leaves, lavender, white musk. So if you can see a trend in these videos, I use a lot of grapefruit and also kind of focusing on violet leaves. Both of these notes are very, very fresh for the summertime. Violet leaves have this kind of the inside of a cucumber is what I always say. It's kind of like this kind of pulpy, juicy, watery kind of an experience, and it's translated here to this particular fragrance. So it has a very crisp, cooling effect when you're wearing it. But lots of citruses and musks, and there's definitely a little bit of amber woody in the dry down, of course, and musks as I said, but it's very, very fresh and crisp, and definitely metallic as well. If you like metallic fragrances, definitely check it out. And I think the combination of aromatics as herbs and citruses together create the kind of a metallic experience here. In Silver Lake, makes sense. Silver, metallic kind of a thing. Bentley for Men Silver Lake at number 3. Definitely a perfect scent for summertime for men, if you like the idea. Alright, next going to the house of Dior. We're going to a classic. It's Eau Sauvage. Not Sauvage, but Eau Sauvage. For a fresh lemony experience. A little cheaper barbershoppy experience as well with this particular fragrance. But it's darn good. It smells fantastic, and it's aromatic, as I said. It's a little woody, earthy, and of course very, very citrusy with lemons, oakmoss, bergamot, vetiver, basil, rosemary, jasmine, coriander, musk, carnation, and patchouli. There's a lot of stuff going on in here. You do experience it, but they're kind of faint. I think mostly you'll experience the lemons, the vetiver, the bergamot, and the aromatics like rosemary and basil, but you will also notice a little bit of a floral touch in here. The jasmine definitely comes through to create this really, really beautiful, very, very classic but timeless kind of an experience that's really, really great to wear in the heat. So Eau Sauvage from Dior at number 2. Can you guess my number 1? Number 1 is from the house of Hermes. It's the new Terre d'Hermes Eau Givrée. Perfect summer fragrance. Very, very crisp and zingy. The grapefruit in here is amazing. Actually, it's not grapefruit, it's citron, but it smells a little grapefruity to me. And the fact that they have Timut pepper added. There's Sichuan pepper, which has a kind of a lemony tinge to it, and Timut pepper, which has a little bit of a grapefruity tinge to it. So along with the citron and the Timut pepper, the fragrance wears like it's grapefruit. They've also thrown in the ice cold juniper berry in here. It's a fantastic release, really, really great scent, but I also get some minerally metallic touches in here. Of course, juniper berry always creates this. And then there's also woods. It's very, very woody, but it's very, very citrusy, invigorating, sharp, clean, perfect summer scent, and I think they did a great job with this one. I'm happy with it. I'm actually happy with the last 2 creations from, I think it's Christine Nagel. But yeah, I'm looking forward to an updated version of H24 in Parfum or something, and really enjoying Hermes Terre d'Hermes Eau Givrée, and I think it's a great solid release and perfect for summer for men. That's why it's ranked at number 1. So that's the list for you guys, a top 10 list of fresh designer fragrances for men. What are your thoughts on these fragrances? Do you enjoy them? Do you like them? Do you hate them? Is there another fragrance that you like or prefer more that I should know about? Let me know. Put a comment down so I can find out. Either way, guys, thanks so much for watching today's video. If you have any questions or comments, please do list below. Please like this video. Please share it. Follow me on Instagram and Facebook, and I'll be back with more videos very soon. Have a good one. Goodbye. Well, there are a few fragrances, bonus fragrances for you guys. I did not want to leave this one out because it's uber fresh. It's from the house of Armani. It's Acqua di Gio, the original in Eau de Toilette. And even though I wore this back in 1997, I think it launched in 96, and it was something completely different. I think this particular version is so fresh, it'll be perfect for someone that wants kind of this very marine, fruity, citrusy take on a fresh fragrance. So it's very, very light to me. And if you prefer the lighter fragrances, this I think would be perfect. It features notes of lime, lemon, marine notes, bergamot, jasmine, peach, cologne, mandarin orange, and white musk. It's very fresh. It might be a little too light for me, but maybe not for you. It's Armani's Acqua di Gio in the Eau de Toilette version, bonus fragrance. The last bonus fragrance, It's a technicality. It's not really a designer, but I'm putting it in the category of designer, just like Guerlain, which I don't have any fragrances from Guerlain here. This is Caron, Pour un homme de Caron Le Matin, which I did a video on this recently. It's a very, very sharp and metallic take on Caron, Pour un homme de Caron, where they've kind of like minimized the lavender note in here and have added other notes to kind of create a very sharp, fresh daytime version of the Pour un homme de Caron fragrance. So it features notes of ginger, oak moss, bergamot, lemon, petitgrain, lavender, geranium, gaiac wood. Did I say it's metallic? Yes, the addition of these herbs, like geranium mostly with citruses, does create a very metallic, sharp experience. It's fresh. It's also very, very spicy. It's less lavender than typical. So if you never really cared for Caron, Pour un homme de Caron because it's overdose of lavender, you might check this one out because I think they've really toned down the lavender here and they've added a lot of other notes. But I think it's a perfect scent to wear in the summertime, in the heat during the day. It's a refreshing, invigorating, sharp, and clean kind of a fragrance. So it's Caron, Pour un homme de Caron Le Matin. That's the second bonus fragrance for you guys. Let me know your thoughts on these two, the rest of the whole collection. And other than that, guys, I appreciate you tuning in. Stay tuned for another video tomorrow. Bye-bye.